So thank you for joining us today. Aaron, nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you. Thank you.
So you're the subject matter expert in this area. So let's talk about corporate enterprise, for example. Why do corporate CIOs, for example, or chief privacy officers, why is this important to them?
Well, from a data destruction standpoint, there's a lot of federal laws that they must abide by when it comes to handling data, controlling data. But we're able to help them comply with those federal laws and regulations around how they handle data, not only internally at their business or at their homes, but where they're sending the material to be appropriately processed, whether it's wiped, shredded, or degassed.
Okay. Take us through a process. So, for example, if someone contacted your organization, how does that process work?
Yeah, so really there's kind of two ways the process could work. We have some clients that basically just throw all their electronics. They pay us a fee. Either we pick it up from their facility or they bring it to us. We'll go through, depending on the type of material, there might be a little bit of hand dismantling, manual labor, and then it will go through our shredding process where we'll generate a commodity. Okay. The other spectrum is with regards to kind of what we call ITAD services, where we're inventorying items for a specific business. You're getting make, model, serial number, how many units, what type of units, and then they were requiring specific data destruction. So they might require us to come on site and do shredding. They might require us to come on site and do the degaussing, or they might require us at our own facilities, which we do. I want my drives wiped, and then I want them shredded, or I want them wiped, and then sometimes they want them back after they're wiped. So those are the two main realms of how material can come into our facility, and the client gets to pick what they want service-wise. We offer all those services, so they get to choose what services they want, and then based on those services, that's where the dollars come about of what they want in those services.
Right. So I heard that you guys have to maintain a really high certification.
In this industry, there's many certifications, and some of them are environmental, some of them are health and safety, some of them are quality, and then some of them come down to strictly asset disposition and destruction. So we're certified to 6 different certifications, all accredited by ANAB, and then we're certified through those by an accredited ANAB body. So basically what happens is that body comes into our facilities once a year, and depending on the size of our facility, we have 8 of them, they will spend anywhere from 3 to 6 days looking up every nook and cranny in our facilities, looking through all of our paperwork to verify not only what we say we're doing, but that we're actually meeting the standard with regards to those requirements. And the standards that we're certified to, you have e-stewards, which is e-waste and asset management related. So it covers from the time you pick up the material to how you handle the material to where that material ends up from a final destination piece. Then you have the R2 standard, which is very familiar to e-stewards. There's a couple little differences, but it's the same kind of walkthrough of the material of how you're handling the full life stream of it. Then you get into ISO 9001, which is our quality standard. So the quality with regards to the commodities we generate, the quality with regards to the asset management material we generate, and then the quality of our services. Then you have ISO 14001, that's an environmental standard. So that's basically how are you managing your potential environmental risk by how you operate, not only at your facilities, but also the carbon footprint to the downstream of where you're shipping the material to. Then you get into the health and safety management system, which is OSAS 18001. That basically is overseeing all your health and safety programs. So how are you protecting your employees from a health and safety aspect through training, through programs, through outside classes, and then also how are you improving in your facilities from an engineering standpoint? So engineering controls, those types of things to make it a safe work environment for these employees to work in. And then the final certification is called NAID, which is the National Association of Information Destruction. And that's strictly related around the security of your facilities and how you destroy data. It's based on the certifications we have. The day and age we're in now, and us as consumers, we want the newest and best electronic out there on the market. Cell phones, for example, have an average lifespan of 9 months. A TV is anywhere from 3 to 5 years. What that has done is really thrived in the resale market and really expanded the size of that market. And when we look at recycling, the first part of recycling is let's try and reuse it first. If we can't reuse it, then we go to the recycling aspect. So over about the last 3 or 4 years, we've been able to really expand on the refurbish and resale market due to the newer electronics we're getting in, and there's still a marketplace to sell those. So we will bring that material in. The first thing we will do is validate whether that can be refurbished and resold as a whole unit, so a whole TV or a whole laptop. If it can't, then we do parts harvesting. So basically we will go through the unit and we will harvest out parts that are still working because there's a huge market just for the parts. If those two factors don't play out, whether it doesn't work, there's no market for the material, it now then goes through the recycling process where through hand dismantling, shredding technology, so on and so forth, we're able to generate commodities. And the high value commodities that we generate are precious metal bearing material, which is mostly circuit boards, so that's where your gold, your silver, and your palladium is. And then you have plastics, aluminum, steel, and copper. So those would be your major generators of material once it's recycled. For many, many years, the environment has been the #1 important factor that clients are trying to look for in a recycler that they choose to make sure it's handled environmentally safe, not at their own operations here in the United States, but when it further gets downstream. Well, in about the last 2 or 3 years, as we're all familiar with, data has become an important aspect to this industry. Everything we handle today from an electronic standpoint has some sort of data on it, or whether it's your smart TV, or you might have a Netflix account, your copier where you've copied 100 documents and they're saved on the copier. Those types of things need to be handled appropriately. So that's really driving that side of the business for us. And there's many ways to do asset disposition. There's wiping, which you can do a 3, a 5, or a 7-pass wipe on the drives. There's degaussing for your old hard drives that contain the magnetic disk. There's shredding. There's on-site data destruction where an actual shred truck will show up to your office, can handle all the shredding there. And now we've gone to a new form of drive called the SSD drive, where it can't be degaussed because it's not a magnetized drive, but requirements in regards to data have now come down to a shred anywhere from 2 millimeter to 3 millimeter size, which basically makes it inoperable, and the chances of someone trying to put that drive back together are pretty much slim to none. So now it's not only the environmental side, it's also data destruction. And depending on the market you're going into, one might be more important than the other. Financial institutions, healthcare, government, they're the data destruction. That's their #1 importance. Cities, counties, the environmental piece is their #1 priority. But either way, the other one is very closely tied. We're either right underneath it or right next to it. So as we see the market evolving more and more, you're going to be getting less volume from a weight perspective because the electronics are much smaller and weigh less today, but we're getting more and more units. And that ties back to the fact that us as consumers, we want the new and best product out there. But the scary part about it is the data that's contained on these electronics. And we've all seen in the papers what can happen if it gets breached, not only to you personally, but a large business. And I won't name names, but large businesses, it can literally take them out of business for data breaches.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Aaron. Now, we're going to post this video on LinkedIn. Would you mind if people message you, because since you are a industry expert, I mean, you know probably more about this than most people, anyone I know, actually. Would that be?
Appreciate that. Thank you. I've been a lot of years in the business, and a lot of traveling and learning.
Yeah, you could definitely give a lot of talks on this subject alone. I think that's why you guys are the dominant player in this market.
Thank you.